If you're a sensitive person and you've been feeling like you don't belong on this earth, please keep watching, because this video is for you. Because no matter what is going on around you, no matter how people see you, no matter how people judge you, I want to share something with you that will make you immune to the outside. Here's the truth. You belong here, okay? You belong on this earth. There is no mistake. You being on this earth is not a mistake. And you might be watching this and not a highly sensitive, but you know someone who is highly sensitive or empathic, and they may not know what to do in their life, and you can share this video with them. Right now, our humanity is evolving at a very rapid pace. If you haven't noticed, some are calling this the Great Awakening. I don't really label it. If I were to label it, I would call it the Great Emergence. There's a consciousness emerging, the truth is emerging, the true power inside all of us, the potential hidden inside, the pure power is rising up to the surface, and it's not the power that we've been seeing in the world, which is power over, or someone wins and someone loses. True power is on the rise. True power is about sourcing from inside. True power is about learning to be in command of your frequency. You as a sensitive person or an empath or somebody who really feels compassion and wants to make a difference in our world, but you may be struggling, it's so important, number one, to recognize that you weren't given extra sensory perception and sensitivity as a disability. You were given it as an added ability that many other people do not necessarily have. So I want you to reframe it in your mind and see it as an asset. So I know in my work, if I wasn't highly sensitive, I wouldn't be masterful at it. I wouldn't be a phenomenal coach and a coach trainer who can help guide a coach, not with just the structures that we teach, but from my own personal experience, what is actually going to create transformation in their client, which, hint, hint, has a lot to do with presence, with your ability to guide your client into feeling what they feel and helping them tap into their deeper levels, which you as an empath, as a highly sensitive, it's like your world. It's like it's like a mermaid living in the ocean. Like the ocean is just home. Emotions are home to a highly sensitive, right? Empathic people, we feel life. We don't think through life. If you are an overthinker, it's typically because, oh, you guys, sorry, look at this beautiful bird. Oh my God. She is so beautiful. It's like an egret. When do you see an egret on the beach? And they're all about grace. Oh my God, this is just such a messenger right now. You are an egret living in a world that has taught you to be a vulture. I don't know, I'm just using metaphors. What can I do here? So I want you to, number one, really take a deep breath with me for a second. Place your hands on your heart. Exhale out. Touch the earth if you can. If you're not near the earth, that's okay. And just breathe into yourself right now and feel what you feel, okay? Your power is in your ability to stop fighting what you feel and to feel what you feel. If you have become an overthinker, but you tend to feel life, or you used to feel life a lot, it's because our world has trained us into overthinking. One of the greatest addictions is overthinking, and it's a strategy to not feel because feeling in the past was too painful. Being highly sensitive and feeling a very tumultuous childhood or things like that can definitely, as a survival mechanism, lead us to think. I know this is what happened with me, to overthink things so that I didn't have to feel because it was too much. But now, if you're watching this video, which you are, it's no longer too much to feel. You are a superhero. You are now able to take your emotion, I'm going to share with you how, and turn it into your superpower, and also use it to ground so deeply on this planet that you become the commander of your own frequency, of your own reality, and you become a leader of love. You become somebody who actually helps others to free themselves, but it really requires you freeing yourself first, because there's no one to save or free or fix. It's all about rescuing ourselves ultimately. So how do you, if you're highly sensitive, living in a world that is mostly vultures, just kidding, I don't know why that's coming up, that beautiful egret, just let's just say we're not necessarily living in a world of like egrets and swans. I mean, deep down that's what we are, but most of us are not living that way. So what do you do when you're living in a sea of unconscious people who are judgmental, critical, etc.? How do you hold your ground and remain highly sensitive using your superpower without getting caught in the victim, without getting trampled on, without getting knocked to the ground and staying down? How do you actually stay strong, standing on your own 2 feet with the superpower of being highly sensitive? It's a good question. I can only share from my own experience what works. And that is that triggers outside of us are not the problem. If somebody is judging you right now, or someone's criticizing you, or life has thrown you a curveball, or life has thrown you some challenging stuff to deal with, it's not to tear you down. It's to help you practice honing your frequency, being in command of your frequency, being sovereign. What I mean by this is being grounded and rooted in source energy rather than trying to latch on and siphon energy unconsciously from the world out there. And that's what most of us are doing on a regular basis is, oh, this bird is so captivating, and all she's doing is just present. She is a sovereign being, present, walking around here. So all it really requires is, instead of seeking approval, so think about it, safety, love, belonging are 3 of our basic needs, and contribution is a 4th one. Let's just start with safety, love, belonging. If you are looking outside of yourself for love, for safety, for belonging as your primary source, you're in trouble. Okay, now if you're a child, like under the age of 18, of course you would do that. We all did that, because most of us did that, because that's where we sourced our stability. That's how we got fed. That's how we survived. And most of us are still running that same program at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, because we've never shifted, unplugged from our parents, cut the umbilical cord, unplugged from our need for the approval of our classmates in 5th grade, and instead start to be your own saving grace, be your own mother, be your own father. So when you get triggered, what most people do is they get stuck on the trigger, and I wrote a whole book about this called The Diamond Process, and I have many videos here about that, so you can subscribe if you haven't already. To help you raise your frequency and really use your emotional triggers as opportunities to master your life, which is amazing that you can do this. I know from my own life and from hundreds, now thousands of people's lives, witnessing their lives change. So emotional triggers, usually people get stuck on the trigger. Oh my God, they get triggered, they get stuck on the trigger, and they want to blame them, think about them, overthink themselves, shame themselves, get totally lost in the story, instead of drawing their energy back from the trigger and bringing that deep need, that unmet need that they're wanting from outside, which they're not going to get. You're not going to get it from outside. And if you do, it's not stable, if you haven't noticed, that nothing's stable outside, which is a blessing. It's set up this way so that we don't source from the wrong place. We source from the access point that is unbreakable, unshakable, and always with us through every moment of our lives and beyond. So when you get triggered, instead of latching on to needing love, safety, or belonging out there, which is beautiful, and as humans, it's great to have that too. Notice I said too, have that also. Primarily, it's important to first have a foundation of meeting those 3 needs for ourselves: self-love, safety, like being that safe harbor for yourself when times are hard? Do you go scroll on the internet seeking for outside something to fill you up, or do unconscious patterns? Or do you actually freeform write? Do you sit with yourself? Do you hear yourself? Are you meditating? Are you establishing yourself in the diamond self, in the true self that's unshakable, that's always well, that's always whole? It's like the eye of the storm. And the third is belonging. Are you belonging to something bigger than yourself? To me, I'm laying flat on the earth right now because I belong to this precious earth, to this divine mother, to this beautiful, healthy expression, this solid ground, this pure source energy pulses through this earth, and I belong to her. Some of my best friends are not human. They are trees, they are the beach, they are my kitty cat, right? They're not human. And there's a whole world. If you feel lonely or isolated, when was the last time you put your feet on the earth? When was the last time that you took a fresh breath of air? When was the last time you took a swim in the sea? When is the last time you hugged a tree or tended to like a living plant or something like that? These are ways to use your sensitive power to stop the overthinking, which is really what is debilitating most of humanity right now. It's the big addiction. It's the biggest addiction, is this addiction to overthinking that is causing a lot of dysfunction and suffering and illness, because health is healing, is being able to feel your emotions. And one of the ways to do that is, I know in my darkest hours in Mendocino in 2009, when I left my life and everything behind, an amazing life, and I started over and went to face my own emotions, which I talk about in the Diamond Process book, I was with the trees. That's where I belonged. I wasn't talking to people. Nobody knew, most people didn't know where I was. They couldn't even access me. And I'm not suggesting to do this, but it's what I needed at the time. And I reset my whole life by connecting with nature on a profoundly deep level. And another level of belonging is your own embrace, like really being the mother or father of yourself. And there's other videos I have here on that. To recap what I've shared with you today, you weren't given high sensitivity as a limitation. You were given it as a superpower. And if you've ever asked yourself the question, am I too sensitive to be a coach? Am I too sensitive to be a life coach, to be a masterful life coach? Am I too sensitive to ever be really good at what I do, to make a living doing what I do, to make a genuine impact in other people's lives? My answer to that is, it's actually what will help you accelerate in being a masterful coach if you do the work inside, okay? Number one, do the work inside of you so that you're not afraid of any feeling. They become your cue to take your attention off the trigger, come inside, breathe, feel what you feel, freeform write if you have to, use processes like the Diamond Process or whatever works for you, freeform writing, and heal, let yourself express your feelings, give your feelings a voice. And then, as far as the way you share in the world as a coach or making videos, please do not try to be like someone else. If you have a soft voice, have a soft voice, because I'll tell you, there's so many influencers that have so much wisdom I'd love to learn from, but I can't tolerate their frequency or how fast they talk or how loud they are because I'm highly sensitive. So there are people who need you to speak the way you speak. And if you're gentle, see that as a gift. If you're soft-spoken, that's a power, unless you believe it's a liability. If you believe it's a limitation, then that's gonna emit energy-wise out of you, and people will feel that. But if you just are comfortable in your own skin, which is what comes from cleaning up your mind, doing the emotional, the inner work, which the Diamond Process guides you through that. But really, it's clean. You can use self-forgiveness, whatever tools you want to use to clean up your mind. And I would love for you to take away from this video, to shift from my sensitivity makes me weak to I am a superhero. I am a powerful soul because I can feel so much and I am standing on my own 2 feet, and I have the courage to live fully and to take my energy from out there and all the delusion out there and all the ideas that I've been taught, and actually remember that I am here to be myself, to be authentic, and to love myself deeply. And if you can genuinely accept yourself, you've done some masterful work here on this earth, because in you living in the vibration of self-acceptance, you're actually demonstrating what it looks like to be a healthy human, and that is service. May you know that you are so loved, and may you remember to get on the earth. Notice what happens when you relax and breathe on the earth for 20, 30 minutes a day. How does that change your life in and of itself? Little habits done regularly have a massive impact over time. So I love you guys, and here's to changing our world from the inside out. If you are a highly sensitive person and you love it and you know that it's a superpower and you're committed to standing, shining bright, creating a new paradigm of love on our planet, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and thank you so much for being on this journey with me. All right, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.